Yes, pilgrims, good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It is Tuesday, third day of the month, third day of September. Hey, this is my birthday month. Folks, welcome to today's edition of Good Day Grenada. I'm George Grant, and thankful to be alive. Yes, went to the beach this morning. And remember yesterday we were talking about a mass of seaweed that we saw just off Grand Anse, maybe a mile or two off Grand Anse. Well, yeah, sure enough, it did wash up on Grand Anse, and it was there this morning. However, having said that, yes, there was seaweed on the beach, but it really wasn't that bad. Really wasn't that bad. And we had a nice little swim. Didn't do any walking this morning, but it was just a nice time. And there weren't too many people on the beach this morning, but thankful to be alive and ready to take on the rest of the day. How about you? Let me, before I get into the rundown, let me take a look at, I don't believe it. 4 days in a row. Hazel, tell me what. Hazel Ferguson, have you been sleeping next to your iPad, iPhone, or your PC, or your Mac, whatever it is you use to watch this program? Because she's there again this morning. Good morning, Mr. G. Blessed day to everyone. She's first again. And straggling in is Fitzroy Adams in second place. Peter Bishop is in Brooklyn this morning. He's third. Anthea Rollo, good day all, back to the grind. Does that mean you're going back to work, Anthea, and we're not going to be seeing you? Certainly hope not. Certainly hope not. Then, who else is there? Sawandi Fabio Sam is saying, good morning, Gigi. Well, good morning to all of you folks. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Our rundown for today, third day of September. The President Unmasked. Yeah, that is a piece which we published on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website last night. It's a piece from the National Democratic Congress, Claudette Joseph. And yeah, it's her weekly contribution, I guess. We're going to share that with you. Now, there's also a short video. It's about, I think, 4.5 minutes long or so, which I wanted to share with you right after the president is unmasked. However, I'm going to share it with you. Yes, you're going to see it. I'm going to share it with you at the end of the program. This piece is titled, Don't Feel Too Badly About Your Motherland. It's about an African who migrated to the United States, and he's very disappointed in the image that the Western media presents about Africa. And he's pointing out that, hey, even in Africa, some places are better off than in the United States. Very interesting little piece, so stick around. So we're going to run that at the end instead of in the first section of today's program. So from the President Unmasked, we're going to go directly into the national report from the GIS, and then Mr. Ray Roberts. Now, the reason why I'm doing things this way is because Ray said he'd be in here this morning. I spoke to him this morning. He said he'd be in here at 9:30. But he has a meeting at 10 o'clock. So he asked if we could let him out of here a little bit early, maybe about 5 minutes to 10 or so, okay? Hope he drives carefully to his meeting. All right, so there you have it. That's our rundown for this morning. Let's get right into the President Unmasked. The Constitution of Grenada sets up the democratic government of Grenada as comprising 3 separate independent but co-equal arms. Parliament, which is the legislature, is one of the arms. The other two being the judiciary, the courts, and the executive, which, of course, is the cabinet. Central to maintenance of the rule of law is the obligation on the members of each arm to carry out their functions freely, impartially, and without fear or favor. It is perhaps more crucial than the courts and the parliament ensure that they act at all times without political bias. The reason for this critical need for impartiality is that the arms of government serve the interest of all of the people, not just a few, and definitely not just those in power. Cabinet failed in its responsibility to uphold the rule of law and to impartially look after the interest of the people when recently it broke the law in deciding to pay some of the Prime Minister's security detail salary in lieu of vacation. The Prime Minister openly admitted to the press that he was aware of the law, but decided to break it anyway. Parliament is the institution set up by the Constitution by which the people, through their representatives, call on the executive to account for their decisions, especially decisions on how public funds are spent. Members of both houses of Parliament possess certain distinct rights and responsibilities in order to carry out their functions. It is a breach of parliamentary rules, conventions, and protocol for other members of Parliament, especially those in authority, such as the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, to use their positions to stifle debate. Such abuse of power is itself indicative of corruption in government. During the sitting of the Senate on August 15th, Senator Andre Lewis, the workers' representative in the Senate, broached the subject of the unlawful payment of salary in lieu of vacation to the Prime Minister's chosen ones. Commencing such a debate in the Parliament was not only Senator Lewis's duty on behalf of his constituents, but it was his sacrosanct right as a member of the upper house. It was therefore a sad day for democracy in Grenada when the President of the Senate, a man with almost 30 years' experience as the workers' representative in the Senate, shut down the voice of the workers of Grenada when he stifled debate on this issue, disingenuously referring to it as an exceedingly sensitive matter. It was a great pity that Senator Lewis did not stand his ground and insist on making his presentation. In that moment, it appears that the good senator forgot the parliamentary privilege he enjoys, which absolutely protects him, so that he is at liberty to speak for his constituents without fear of reprisals. The president, a man once respected and hailed as a workers' champion, is now just a dutiful servant of his master, doing as he is told as he guards his master's territory. when guarding his master's territory involves shafting the workers of this country, he obediently does his duty with no qualms. The public workers of Grenada have had to endure being duped by the executive with a worthless MOU on the eve of elections. They have had to endure the insult of a 2% offer on gratuity when the law guarantees them 25%. They have had to endure the erroneous claim that those joining the service after the 22nd of February, 1985, are somehow not entitled to their full pension, when the McQueen and Armstrong cases say otherwise. They have had to endure their salaries being docked when they took strike action to assert their pension rights guaranteed by the Constitution. The question remains, did the government adopt these erroneous, illegal, and anti-worker stances without the president's input or advice? To rub salt into all these wounds, Cabinet decided to break the law to pay salary in lieu of vacation to some of the Prime Minister's security detail because he trusts no one else, not even his Commissioner of Police. What does the President do when the workers, through their representative in Parliament, raise objection to this? He sides with the master against the workers. Since 2013, there have been many and repeated indicators that all of our democratic institutions are under attack. Of course, the detrimental effect of his action on our very democracy is of no moment to the President. He's not inclined to the democratic style of governance. It is not like the President doesn't know what it is like to be shut down in the Senate on a matter of national importance. He made many noises when he was prevented from debating the Restainer briefcase affair. But even as far back as then, Mitchell promised he would unmask the masked men who were against him. That is the only promise to the Grenadian people Mitchell has ever kept. Despite these repeated attacks on our democratic institutions, the NDC stands firm and ready to fight in defense of these institutions and our way of life. As hard as those who are prepared to betray we, the people of Grenada, they will not succeed in destroying the core principles and values of the people of Grenada. That, folks, is the text of I don't know if you can call it a release. It's a little editorial which the National Democratic Congress puts out every week. And it was published last night on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website. You can stop by there and check it out. Just let me get back here to social media and see what's going on. John Kennison says, Hazel has a good internet, not like some of us. John, that's a lousy excuse for not being first to chime in. Anyhow, Peter Bishop says, no inside trading info. Kipling is saying good morning to you folks. Bernard Gilbert as well. And John says, only let Ray go early if he's a good boy and brought you an apple. I don't know if he's going to bring me an apple, but I'll tell you, I was so happy to have tons and tons of grapes this morning on the beach. That's good enough. Arthur Langine saying good morning. And John is saying, re-MOUs. Signing an MOU is a PR stunt and nothing less. Nothing more as well, John. Anthony DeRiggs is saying, good morning, George and everyone. Let us keep the people of the Bahamas in our prayers and assist them if we could. 40 hours of constant rainfall coupled with ferocious winds is a nightmare. Boy, very, very sad to see what's happening out there in the Bahamas. And yes, please, let's all join together and offer a word of prayer. It's going to be a long time before these folks are back on their feet. Claude Pudna is saying good morning. He says he's late. Nah, you're not really late. Peter Bishop says, I agree with Miss Joseph that the president used his office to stop the voice of labor from bringing to the attention of the Senate the issue of the unlawful payment of the chosen police officers. However, I will go further to say that the labor representative showed weakness by not challenging the president's position. Essentially, that's what Claudette was saying in her little piece. Donna Joseph is saying good morning to you guys, and Charmaine DeLille is saying let's pray for the Bahamas and let's do all that we can to help. I'm so happy to see how generous you folks are willing to be. I hope that we here in Grenada respond, and I too am willing to do whatever little bit that I can to help these folks. All right, let's take a little break here, and then we'll come on back with the national report.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grandans, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Quad Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Good morning, Gren Lake Meter Reader.
Morning, Mr. Meterman. I'm glad I caught you. Last month, I got a very high bill, and I don't understand why.
Last month we were not able to access your meter, so we had to estimate the bill. This will happen if we don't get an actual reading.
So what can I do to ensure that my meter is easily accessible?
Well, you can get your licensed electrician to move your meter outside of the gate or directly in front of the house. That way, I'll have easy access and I won't have to deal with your dog.
Ah, Butch.
Yes, dogs can be a problem sometimes. On one occasion, I was attacked by a dog and police had to get involved. Customers who don't want to cage or tie their dogs should really move the meter and make it easily accessible.
Well, I'll consider that.
Thank you.
GrenLink, energizing our Grenada.
Oh, yeah, just a couple of notes here before we hit the national report. Bernadette Thomas Alexis is saying good morning from Toronto, Canada. Nice to meet you, Bernadette. And she's saying, please help the Bahamas in this sad time. Clem James says, and he's referring to the piece from Claudette a little while ago, he says, this seems to be the order of the day across the board. The unions in Dominica are definitely under attack, and I wonder if the politicians in power are reading from the same playbook. 000 increase is what they tell the civil servants. Bernadette also says here, let's keep them in our prayers. Peter Bishop says, this is the weakest Senate I have seen in Grenada's history. I'm disappointed with the opposition senators for not bringing to the Senate a motion re the unlawful payment made to the police officers. Also, I expected a couple questions on the order paper demanding copies of government's phone bills dating back to 2016. It's the only way we can find out how much money is involved in PhoneGate. All right. Thanks for raising these points, folks. All very important. Now, here comes your national report.
Staff and students at Holy Cross RC School start the school year in style and comfort in their new learning environment. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Monday, September 2nd, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Staff members and students of the new $5.3 million Holy Cross RC School experienced a mixture of emotions ranging from excitement to gratitude as they finally started the new school term at the new state-of-the-art school facility on Monday. This comes after enduring years of discomfort and housing at less than adequate locations since the original school building was destroyed by Hurricane Ivan in 2004. A GIS team visited the school on its first day and filed this report.
You can see a level of excitement from the students, knowing it's a new facility and knowing that it's a new area for them.
I was amazed and I love my classroom because it's very comfortable.
I'm glad I'm coming to my new school, and the most I enjoy is the library, so I could go and read and understand certain things.
Moving from their prior location at the Catholic Church Parish Hall some distance away, the staff and students of the Holy Cross RC School are now enjoying a more beautiful, spacious, well-equipped, safe and comfortable working and learning environment. The principal, Edlyn Ruffin Modeste, summed up the mood at her school today.
When I got here this morning, the students were overjoyed. You heard comments like, wow, it's a nice facility, it's a nice school. At assembly, I spoke to them about maintaining and caring for the building. I asked them how they felt when they came in, and somebody said to me, excited. And they were excited because of the new facility. They wouldn't be hot anymore. At the previous facility, it was really hot. For us, it's a joy.
Several teachers shared feedback from the students and their own thoughts on the facility.
The students in my class, they are eager to help decorate the class, help be a part of whatever it is to develop the classroom environment. They are eager and willing to do that.
The kitchen is really beautiful. They love the washroom. All the classrooms are really tidy and nice, and it's really nice. It's really clean and refreshing and things to them.
We're just trying to get them to settle in. We've been chatting with them on things that they should do to ensure that the environment remains well kept. We have taken them around to show them the new facility and some of the things that they should do, how they should behave, because we know that having or coming into a building like this comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Ruffin Modeste says registration for the Holy Cross RC School is still ongoing, and she welcomes inquiries from interested parents who would like their child or children to attend the Holy Cross RC School. The school is able to accommodate 200 students, but there are currently 84 students registered due to accommodation issues in the recent past.
I want to encourage the people, especially Munich and Tuileries, the surrounding areas. Most of them have children that go to schools outside of Munich. Long ago they complained that the facility was not up to the standard that they wanted their children to have. Now that we have the standard, now that we've surpassed the standard, I think now is your chance to transfer, because most of the schools around are overcrowded anyway. For parents, prospective parents who want to get their students to Holy Cross RC, we have space. It's a really modern facility. Your child would be just happy to be at this facility. It's, as somebody said to me, the best primary school in Grenada. You can come in and register your child. We have space, and or you can call. The number is 442-7818. You call the number and I'll give you an appointment and you can come in and have a chat. Or you can just come in and see the facility. We will be happy to show you around.
New registrations will continue until the end of September 2019. Ruffin Modeste has full confidence in her team to deliver at their best. All except one teacher are college trained. From 2015 to 2019, Ruffin Modeste says the school has maintained a 100% CPEA pass rate.
We have really qualified and caring teachers who would go the extra mile to ensure that your child, if it's below the child's level, to bring the child up to the level the child, he or she should be at. We also have a lot of co-curricular and extracurricular activities that your child would be a part of. We have the 4-H, the brownies, we have the reading groups.
The construction of the Holy Cross RC School was executed as part of the World Bank's Regional Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. F.A. Jeremiah and Company Limited was the selected contractor, with the consultants being Consultant Engineers Partnership. For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
Government plans to intensify its efforts to reduce vulnerability to natural disasters. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell says more investment will be made towards resilient infrastructure and land use and physical planning laws will be enforced. He was addressing the commencement of the 2020 budget cycle. In recent months, Grenada has focused heavily on being climate smart and resilient in sectors like health, agriculture, education and infrastructure development. Grenada spent years restoring infrastructure, crops and the livelihood following the devastation of Hurricanes Ivan and Emily in 2004 and 2005 respectively.
We'll intensify our efforts to reduce our vulnerability to natural disasters, as well as strengthen our capacity to adapt to climate change and to mitigate the effects as much as we can feasibly do. Colleagues, in this context, an emphasis on resilient physical infrastructure is also a critical pillar of our country's disaster strategy. Key policy priorities, therefore, must include investing in disaster-resilient infrastructure, enforcing land use and physical planning rules, and building codes to ensure appropriate building standards while limiting deforestation and coastal erosion.
That was Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
big business don't participate.
Welcome back. The Caribbean Development Bank is hosting a two-day conference in Grenada this week on project cycle management, a cornerstone of implementation and delivery. The conference, which will be held at the Radisson Resort on Tuesday and Wednesday, and will engage government officials along with other officials from the CDB and the ECCB. It precedes a two-day meeting of technical officers on Thursday and Friday. The Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, has been a major provider of public sector training initiatives aimed at improving the management, monitoring and implementation of policies, programs and projects in its borrowing member countries. Since 2016, more than 3,000 public servants across the Caribbean region have received training in public policy analysis and management and project cycle management. Finally, the Ministry of Agriculture is placing greater emphasis on knowledge sharing across the board so that all players in the industry can operate from the same level. Public Relations Officer Mina Booker reports on an extension fellowship held recently with this objective in mind.
In an effort to encourage knowledge sharing among farmers and extension officers, the Northern District of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands hosted officials and farmers from the Western District on Thursday, 29th August. The exchange visit was organized by the Extension Division of the North, allowing participants to visit 3 sites: the Diamond Chocolate Estate, farms of Mr. Denrick Charles of Waltham St. Mark, and Mr. Stephen Lewis of Shantymill St. Patrick. Minister of Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolande Bain Hosford, who attended the event, praised the Extension Division for organizing the initiative.
No, this is wonderful. I mean, I really appreciate that thought and that activity that you're having here today, because it's important to share ideas, to see different farms, to see how farms are growing and developing, see the different techniques and the different types of plants that farmers are having on their farms. It's good information to share on the different farms. So you can share what you're having and you can share what you're having, and you all can work out different strategies and techniques, how you're all getting your things growing and making money, which is the most important thing, not so? Making money out of it. Enjoying what you're doing and making the money out of it. You know, so I think it's a good exercise.
The participants expressed their delight in being able to participate in the undertaking.
It was very informative, very interactive. The farmers get to have an outlook of how farmers in the Northern District would farm or based on their agricultural practices. Just to have a different feel than being on the farm on a daily basis per se. Farmers would generally learn from other farmers. It was very informative. It was educating for farmers and the other extension officers from the Western District.
It gives farmers an opportunity to more or less network with each other, different area, geographics, to see what different farmers do based on their areas.
The whole background of this project is for educational activities and socializing. So we want farmers to educate themselves along the line, but at the same time we must socialize, we must interact with each other. There might be practices that would be done on one farmer's holding that might be beneficial to another farmer that he does not practice it, and so we could share information. So it's a time of sharing, it's a time of discussing, a time of educating yourselves and so, and socializing together. Based on the response, I can see that they had enjoyed the trip. Because the interaction could reveal that based on the question asked and so forth. And I think it was well accepted.
Mr. Maximus Lazarus, supervisor for the North, spoke of the importance of having such an undertaking and hopes that the event will become an annual one.
Farming, which is basically the oldest profession, farmers don't really take a day to interact and exchange ideas and socialize. This should be an annual event, and it should be a day when farmers island-wide take a day Like, they have credit unions there. So all the credit unions come together and socialize. So this should be a national event when farmers take a day from the farming activities and just interact and get to know farmers.
High praise is also coming from Mr. James Mahon, the District Agricultural Officer for the West, who is happy that the decision was taken to reintroduce the fellowship.
We had it in the past, and that's a lot of years ago. And so the idea to revitalize it is a very, very good one. What we have seen is that farmers and even officers too have become lethargic, From their home, they go to the field, they come back, feel home. And so the need has arisen for farmers and officers to come together to create an atmosphere of camaraderie and where we can visit one another and look at issues, problems and solutions and so on. So I think it's a very, very good initiative and something that the other districts need to imitate.
The day ended with a small get-together at the Plains playing field in St. Patrick's, where farmers and other members of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands were allowed to play cricket, dominoes, and interact. For the Ministry of Agriculture's Public Relations Unit, I am Mina Buka.
Thank you, Mina. That story just ended the National Report for today, Monday, September 2nd, 2019. Let's recap the top story. Staff and students at Holy Cross RC School start the school year in style and comfort in their new learning environment. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
All right, folks, take a look. See, there he is, Mr. Ray Roberts.
Morning, George.
Blue and white this morning?
Well, a little bit of it.
I didn't see you on the beach this morning.
No, I'm sort of tied up for the day, trying to get two of our people who are going to participate in a Paralympics event in Japan. We're trying to get the visas. It's a little complicated, but...
I thought you were retired.
I don't know. Well, from one to another. You need a...
Ray, man, listen, good morning. Good to see you here.
Good to see you. I'm going to catch up tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, please, Lord.
Folks, we're going to forego your comments on the GIS report this morning because, as I mentioned at the top of the program, Ray has to zip off at 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. It's now 20 minutes to 10, which leaves us,
15 minutes.
15 minutes to talk.
Right.
Yeah. First of all, I'm gonna let you get the first shot at this. What's up your sleeve this morning?
Well, George, I don't think we can escape any other event than what's happening in the Bahamas, considering tomorrow it's our 15th anniversary. And it just dawned on me where I was then and how I treated the storm. And I hope nobody in Bahamas did treat the storm as I did, because for me, I thought it was going to pass as quickly as possible and there would be not the horrific experience we had. So I could imagine, and that one is greater in terms of capacity than what we had.
Strength, yeah.
Right, and we also had the privilege, I still have the privilege of having hills and a lot of protective mountains. Having been to the Bahamas, I'm not too sure when I last been there I saw anything like that. So it's more of a flat area that the winds and what have you can just, perform at their peak. And having seen some of the pictures on your post and other posts, I pray that there'll be a quick, not a quick fix, but something of comfort that could be brought to those who are affected.
Boy, I don't know where to begin.
Well, it's just like when we were here, you know.
Yeah. You know, we were a Category 3 with Ivan. This thing's a Category 5.
Yeah.
And there are times the winds went over 225 miles an hour. 225 miles an hour, Ray?
Yeah. Well, George, I can only remember, as I said, I was at NAGMA, and when the building got rattled, it was like a demon inside the building because the windows were just flying like kites, and they were not little windows, they were huge shutters that just flew across the carnage like a kite that we would see around, you know, the Good Friday season. So I would imagine what 200 plus would do to an island that is relatively flat. And let's hope and pray that, you know, there shall be redemption very quickly for, if not all, but as many people as possible.
You know, I'll tell you one thing that really caught my attention, Ray. Yes, there have been a lot of images on social media and television about what's been taking place. I am amazed when you stop to consider the onslaught these people have undergone, the fact that they're still able to get their images out of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It shows that bravery is in the heart of many of us. You know, some of us panic, but some of us, I mean, are able to find the inner strength to do things like that. I've seen a few, a gentleman voice I heard, the house apparently was on the beach, well, close to the sea or wherever it was, and he was giving a commentary of 6 feet waves.
Walking up and down in his house with a camera.
That's correct. And I was saying, that's a lot of it to stand up and watch. And you're watching, you know, well, it's purposeful to me, dismantling of the house. I mean, you see peace go there and peace go there, and you are powerless against the might of whatever it is. So that's I suppose, the thing that is on most of us' mind, and hopefully, as I said earlier, you know, comfort could be brought to those who are in some way, I mean, horrified by the experience, and those who perhaps are our age and maybe wondering where shall the money come from to recuperate a life that has been built upon the years of hard work.
You know, one of the videos that really, really moved me, there was a lady, and this lady was obviously petrified, and she was calling out for prayer for her and her child.
Right.
You saw that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. That was moving. That was really, really moving.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
I think much of it certainly had to touch your inner heart. It's not something you could just gloss over, and any human being, you know, I suppose whoever you are would be wanting to do something, if whatever small it is, to contribute. I know that trade unions and other civic organizations have started the process of doing like what they did for us, and I'm sure Grenadians are going to be as generous as possible.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I have no doubt about it.
All right, Ray, and the question is, when is this thing actually going to hit the U.S.? Because I understand it actually came to a screeching halt. It stopped.
Yes, that's why I heard it's crawling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crawling, that's what I'm told. I did not follow much of it this morning. I got there this morning and looking at ESPN Sports. And then I left home kind of early too, because as I said to you, we're trying to get visas for two of our people who are going to Japan. One is a para-athlete, Aishana, on Monday to participate in a 10-day pre-Paralympic Games 2020 event. So I've not been following the weather as I should, but
I don't know if you heard, there's another system that came off the coast of Africa.
I think I saw that one too.
But I so far, I really don't think this one's going to be an issue for us.
But there's a lot of heat, I mean, I can't even remember the amount of the heat we experience now.
Big time.
It's tremendous, man.
And you know, we've been talking for the last 3 weeks or so that I've been going to the beach every morning. When you put your foot in the water down at the beach, it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll never forget this. About a week or so before Dorian, Sharon said to us, you see this warm water? You see this warm water? Storm coming.
Storm coming.
Yeah.
And storm is here.
Storm came.
Well, we pray that the rest of the season will be as mild as possible. We have Ivan's birthday tomorrow, and then later in the month we have Janet. So we trust and pray that the good God will spare us anything that would create a disaster, as you know, those two did several years ago.
Yeah. All right, Ray. Don't want to cut you short on Dorian, but I know that you got to scoot, so I'm going to make the most of you while we got you here. Listen, did you see a release that came out from the Media Workers Association recently?
Well, George, I first of all want to compliment you on your piece. I sat at night about just before midnight, and I took it in the quiet of my home. I thought it was nicely articulated. I mean, it had no aggression. It had a fatherly scold in there. And I trust that my good friend, in fact, we both know her very well, would certainly, I think it might have been an error in judgment, or being a little over enthusiastic, overzealous. Yes, so I thought it was a pretty good scolding. You know, and I want to just a minute, just to say that I understand the challenges of the media workers. I have not criticized them, and I will not criticize them, because, I mean, as I say to people, remember, none of these people have any permanent jobs. Their jobs are dependent on government. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have many of the people who are in the private media involved. Well, when I was president, I certainly made an effort to get and to keep the George Rome's and everybody as close as possible. I don't know the leadership now if they're doing that. I mean, I have not perhaps received an invitation from them to any of the activities, so I don't know if they have retired, so many of us. But the press release to me, I thought the young man tried a lot. I know him well. He's a likable person. I speak to him on a regular basis. And, you know, I think he tried.
I agree with you 100%. I was impressed with the tone of the release. And I want to quote here 2 sentences from the release. Today happens to be the day when the post-cabinet briefing is going to be held. Okay? He said here, the Media Workers Association of Grenada is therefore requesting a withdrawal of the statement and an apology to members of the fraternity via the same medium. If this request is not acceded to at the hosting of the next press briefing today, the association will seek alternative measures to deal with this matter. Now, Ray, yes, impressive words. Do you think they have the guts?
Well, as I said to people who asked the same question, I remember once we had a similar thing and they all walked out. I remember that. They walked out bravely. I think it was Minister Hood then who was hosting that press conference. It was a similar activity. And it had to do with, I'm not too sure which one of the papers or which one of the press people, but I know they walked out, so I don't know what they will do today. But if I were in the Gudday press secretary's position, I would try to find a middle ground. Okay, you don't need a battle of that nature. It doesn't help, and you know, I know the young lady pretty well. She has some depth. And I would think that she would see the wisdom in what, because really it's not unnecessary, wasn't a, I mean, I know you look at these press conferences in America and Sarah Sanders and how these fellows are tough and so forth, but remember that that's a different culture completely. Different. And in fact, she still had to go because she became useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Ray, I have to be honest with you. I don't know the lady very. You mentioned that we both know her very well. I don't know the lady very well. We probably met.
Oh,
once.
She came in after you left the Scott Street, Radio Grenada.
Oh yeah. However, as I said in the piece that I did that Sunday, she is a lady who, when she was appointed as press secretary to the PM, I felt elated. I felt that we had gone to the next level. We were moving up. I was impressed with her. And In my piece, you may have heard me say that I don't know whether or not she did what she did last week under her own recognizance, or whether she was pressured. I really don't know. So I'm prepared to leave her with the benefit of the doubt, notwithstanding my very utter disappointment in what was done, because it was uncalled for.
Totally uncalled for. In fact, I think I saw a piece from Alpha. He used to work in New Today, and she spoke about Nancy McGuire. For me, she might have been the best press secretary, I think.
Nancy, my dear friend.
Yeah. Even, you know, I haven't seen her in a while, but I see...
Is she still here?
I think so. Okay. I say to people that she, well, clearly she was more mature and worked in the bigger world, and I suppose had this understanding of what the media ought to be like. And she, for whatever reasons, used to be never, I mean, she wasn't really an active member because you were a secretary, but I can't see, I can recall any time we tried to get her involved or assistance, she was responsive.
That was Nancy. That was Nancy.
And I think, George, let me say that again, and I say it every day too. I think we perhaps need to see a lot more training. I haven't heard any training sessions of media people in recent times. You know, I haven't heard anything. To me, everybody just immediately arrive and they are installed into positions of authority. And but I usually say to people, you know, like it or whatever the PRG might have had up their sleeves. I know they did a tremendous amount of work with us who were there. Toro, Cheryl Fletcher, Hilda Roberts, I mean, George Wom, the works, I mean, they had a lot of training. And it was, well, the trainers were people of the highest level in the Caribbean. I still remember Dick Henderson, as I tell people.
Dick Henderson?
Yeah. Dick once said to us, you know, do an interview, and he said, you know, you asked me the question, what else do I have to say? He said, you know what else I have to say? Where will I find a nice girl in St. George's? Because you're asking me a dumb question. The interview is over. Say thank you and go. But why should you ask me, what else do I have to say? Suppose it's a nut you have. So I could never forget that joke. You know, so George, I think whoever the powers might be at this time, they needed to rethink the process.
Margaret, your dear friend, she sees that you're here, so she's suddenly come alive. Where you been all morning, Margaret? Okay, Margaret says, Ray, all I'm going to say to you on that is a people united can never be defeated. Media workers would do well to remember that and stop behaving as crabs in a barrel. There are times when one has to defend a principle because today it's theirs, tomorrow it's yours.
Well, you see, it's a good point she's making, but Margaret will know, and because she was part of it, Joyce Thomas, you had good foundation, you had good schooling. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine a while ago, and he said he was talking to a national footballer. Grenada plays in Kitts Thursday evening in the beginning of the World Cup qualifiers. And so he was saying to the young man, what you practice is what you will perform on the stage. And the guy was sort of, you know, he can improvise, you know. Whatever you practice in the months and the days leading up, that's what you will perform. What we have now, we don't have many people practicing or many skilled people passing on. Now, as I say to people, they're undoubtedly the best person I've ever heard in Grenada, and I still think he's there, do a parliamentary broadcast, is Jerry Romaine.
Yeah, man.
I don't know, and Jerry will tell you nobody accessing it. He still runs, in fact, he has a bar, a restaurant and a bar, so he's not in any way seen as. And so I'm saying to people, saying to Margaret and others, if we don't provide that kind of nourishment for the 18 and the 19-year-old, the 20-year-old, and you just install them in positions that perhaps way over the head, then you get the results what you're having now. Yeah.
All right, my dear friend, with all due respect to you, get the hell out of here.
Well, I hope you have been watching the tennis. Have you been watching the tennis?
No, I have not.
It was a good match last night.
Who?
There's a Canadian lady.
Who won that?
The Canadian girl won.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, 17. She looks like 100 in the case. And the other one, Townsend.
Yeah.
It's also a young lady too, but it was a great match. It went 3 sets. Great match. Finished about just after midnight.
Oh, really?
Great match. She won the first set easily. The second set was won by Townsend. And then the third, big hitting. I mean, these young people, George, I don't know what they're eating. But in fact, interesting with Townsend, she played a satellite tournament, a challenger tournament, they call it. And her first match in that tournament was against a 69-year-old woman. Mm-hmm. It was a university activity. Mm-hmm. The woman was going to university, and she entered the tournament at 69. And she beat her, and that made the headlines around the country. It was unique that a 69-year-old would want to compete in a professional tournament at that stage of her life. Mm-hmm. So the story was pretty interesting. It was good last night, and I will be there tomorrow night again. Well, tonight again. George, thanks.
So when are you going to the U.S. Open?
Oh boy, I want to do that sometime soon, you know. I was planning to do it this year, you know, but again, some things come upon you. I hope I will do that next year.
All right.
Yes, I want to see it.
Good luck, my friend.
Good, George. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, too.
Thanks a lot, Ray.
Great.
All right. Now, folks, here we go. Let me put this together for you. Yes. Western media has brainwashed us with negative images of Africa. So much so, we have come to believe a lot of that propaganda. Pilgrims, let's make a change.
I remember the first time I came to New York, that was about 5 years ago. I was so excited on my way here. But when I came out of the airport on our way home, I looked around and it looked as if I was still in Ghana, for real. You could see people selling food and clothes on the street. The streets were actually really dirty. So it was like, this can be New York. Don't get me wrong, America is very beautiful. New York is very beautiful. But America is very good at branding. They've branded their country as paradise, as heaven. And they portray Africa as if it's the pits of hell. And it's very sad that we Africans, instead of projecting a good image of our various countries, we also project the same thing. When you take your phone or computer and you Google Africa, all you see is animals and poor children begging for food, starvation, hunger, diseases. But this is not what is really on the land. There's poverty in Africa. Africa is not paradise, but it's not necessarily what the media is projected. I remember one time someone told me that he never thought Africans wear clothes or shoes. Another person asked me if we had TV in Africa. I was like, seriously? Honestly, I don't blame all these people because they've never been to Africa before. And their perception of our continent is from what they've seen in movies. But this is what the media won't show you. Please tell me, which one of these two trains do you think is in Africa? I guess you're thinking the one on the left, right? Well, you're wrong. This is actually the subway in New York, and the one on the right is in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This is the train station in Addis Ababa. And look at the train station in New York. This is me standing there in shock. I'm like, these people have been lying to us in their movies. This is Philadelphia. This is Wall Street, Los Angeles. This is New York. I kid you not, there are places in America right now without lights or even running water. But the media will never talk about it because America likes to protect its image. These are some parts of Africa that the media will never show you. This is Accra, Ghana. This is Lagos, Nigeria. This is Cape Town, South Africa. And this is the island of Mauritius. You can see that there are a lot of beautiful places in Africa. So how come we never see them in the media? It's about time we Africans protect our image and stop putting only negative things about our continent out there for the world to see. I know we have a long way to go, but please let's show the world that we are not just poor, helpless, hungry people in dire need of their help. Let's show the world that we are not shithole countries, but in some ways, we are even better than them. Let's stand up and make a change. Shalom.
All right, I really had to squeeze that in. Folks, it's 1 minute after 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for giving me an extra minute. Parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Today, Romans chapter 12, 9 to 16. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless. Do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Romans chapter 12, 9 to 16. My dear friends, I think that's going to do it on this it's not midweek, it's Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, on Sunday morning, we're going to be having the head of FROC, F-R-O-C, the Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee, Mr. Richard Duncan in here, and he's going to be telling you about how well these folks have been overseeing our finances, our expenditures. Yeah. So join us on Sunday morning for the next edition of Sundays with George Grant. Gotta scoot. Thank you so much. God bless you. By His grace. Let's do it again tomorrow at 9.